project, the City Hotel, which is one of the first 3-star hotels in Shanghai. And then in 1996, the opportunity came. The municipal government wanted to redevelop some of the old torn-down areas, and this Xintiandi area, a 52-hectare urban renewal area, offers us the best opportunity.
New China was brought to you by GE.
Imagine what a pleasant surprise it must have been when man first harnessed the power of wind. At GE, we still believe in wind, the pure, natural source of power. GE Wind Energy, for a cleaner, more fuel-efficient world. GE, imagination at work.
People don't just watch CNBC, they use CNBC.
Our live coverage and in-depth analysis of global financial markets means you'll always be on top of breaking news. Legal trouble of Rio Tinto's Indonesia.
It's important knowing who the market's winners and losers are.
Shares soared. Profit would likely
knowing when to make your move.
It's the CNBC Edge that will help you stay ahead. Profit from it today.
Mark Loudy and Amanda Drury on CNBC. Profit from it.
Whether he's sipping spirits by the ocean or trying on the latest fashions, Mike Higginus always walks a few steps outside the box.
Voters held a conference call today saying that they expect to close the $19 billion gap in their pension plan for the year. It's a move that could well boost their earnings. GM, the world's top maker of cars and trucks, has been designated as having the most reliable car. Consumer Reports' latest reliability study placing its Buick Regal at the top of the list, beating out Japanese car makers like Toyota and Honda. All the same conventional wisdom still has you believe otherwise. Joining us, Dave Cole, president for the Center of Automotive Research, and Marianne Keller, auto industry analyst. And Dave, we start things off with you. Or are, in fact, American cars actually more reliable than their Japanese competitors?
Well, I wouldn't want to say they're more reliable, but the gap between the Japanese and the American cars has closed dramatically over the years. If you go back 10 years ago, where there was really a huge difference, today the difference is much smaller. But on average, for example, Toyota and Honda still lead the pack in terms of the data that we see.
Why do people still think that Japanese cars are better?
Well, I think the biggest reason is that if you've had a bad experience in your history with a car, it takes a long time to forget that. That is, you can lose a reputation very quickly. And what we're seeing now is that the big three, and certainly this applies to General Motors, has been improving their quality rather dramatically on a very steady basis. But it's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and you have to sustain quality to ultimately win over customers. It just takes a long time to win customers back. But I think that's beginning to happen. Quality is increasingly not an issue in the industry.
Marianne, what are the American car makers doing to change the perception gap?
Well, I agree with what Dave said. I think when quality becomes more or less a standard, a high quality is a standard throughout the industry, it becomes less of a differentiator in the mind of the consumer. I think people today are very confident when they go in and buy most cars that they're going to get a reliable vehicle. I think what happens now is that the standard of competition changes and it becomes style, price, content, things that people can touch and feel. And I think where a lot of the American companies in the past were not particularly great when it came to keeping their styles fresh. That is, they would keep a car on the market for 10 or 12 years without changing it, whereas the Japanese would refresh cars every 4 years. I think that they're now beginning to pay a little bit more attention to keeping the product line contemporary and fresh and modern. So they are becoming a little bit more competitive. Different companies at different times, but they are becoming more competitive.
Can I point out one thing, though, Dave? When you look at this list, sure, Buick's at the top of the list, but the rest of the list is all made up mostly of Japanese makers. In fact, Buick's the only U.S. car make that was there. What does this say? Are American cars really coming back, or is this just a case where Buick is outclassing everybody else?
Well, there's no question that they're coming back, but if you look at the overall quality data, in terms of defects per car, and you go back, say, 10 or 15 years, there was a difference of like 6 defects per car. Today, it's a difference between, say, 0.8 and 1.2, so the gap is closed. But there's no question that the Japanese, particularly Toyota and Honda, still lead the pack. In fact, in the J.D. Power, the last data that they presented on new car reliability, Toyota was number 1 as a company, Honda number 2, and General Motors number 3.
This is the question that comes up, though, Dave. The Japanese car makers are building their cars in Kentucky. They're building those cars with American labor. They're using American infrastructure, and yet they still, and across the street is whoever, Chevy or Ford or whoever it is, using the same people we're using, or that the Japanese are using, but they come up with a product that doesn't rate as high on the Consumer Reports scale.
Well, it's changing.
How is that?
Again, you have to put this into perspective. Well, it wasn't many years ago that the U.S. manufacturers really were not doing a very good job of delivering quality, reliability, dependability, that general set of things that we think of as quality. They have steadily improved to the point where the difference is not that great, but it still exists to some extent. But as Mary Ann said, and I agree with her completely, other things now are beginning to be differentiators. How often you refresh the car, the quality of the styling, the quality of the relationship.
Who's got the best car right now?
I think it depends on the category.
Yeah,
best overall car. You had to pick the best car in the world. What is it?
Well, it's really hard to say. It depends on what you want,
what do you guys
need.
drive? Dave, what do you drive? What do you drive?
I drive a GMC Envoy, and for me, it's absolutely the perfect car. But for other people, it would be something else.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there. We wish both of you a very good weekend. Dave Cole, Marianne Keller with us talking cars as we now head over to our news desk where Scott Wapner has some of the latest news headlines. Scott?
All right, Dylan, good evening and hello, everyone. We begin this hour with H&R Block. Now, after the markets closed today, the nation's biggest tax preparer revealed that it's being investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, stock market regulators are requesting information on the company's refund anticipation loan litigation going back to November 2002. H&R Block shares were up fractionally during the session to $51.72 a share, but in after-hours trading, they got hammered. We're seeing a quote of $50.55, a loss of $1.17. And as we head into the weekend, oil prices hit the $33 a barrel level today. The spike triggered by anticipation of rising demand for heating oil, as forecasters predicted a cold snap across the northeastern United States this weekend. In New York, light sweet crude jumped more than $1.19 to finish at $33.04 a barrel. And checking closing levels on the major stock indices, the Dow ended 34 points higher at 10,042. Meantime, the NASDAQ gaining 6 points today to end at 1949, and the S&P 500 edging up 1 point to 1072. Now, for the week, the Dow gaining 1.8%, the NASDAQ edging up 0.5%, and the S&P 500 jumping 1.2%. Now, that is a look at some of the session's main headlines. Dylan, let's head back to you.
All right, Scott, thank you very much. J-Lo, Jay-Z, Eve, big names in the music business, now becoming well-known in another industry, fashion. Big money on the line. Hip-hop wear, once dismissed as just a fad, making big waves in this industry. Why should you care? Well, hip-hop fashion, a $2 billion industry, and teens spending $21 billion a year on apparel, so there's all sorts of upside for them as to why musicians may be turning to fashion. The music industry in dire straits. We've talked about that on Bullseye this week. CD prices now their lowest in 10 years, so if you can't make money selling music, why not sell some shirts? Lisa G, a New York City radio personality. Gigi Guerra, the executive editor of Lucky magazine, which I've noticed is incredibly popular with our female staff here at CNBC. And Bullseye contributor Hillary Kramer back with us as well. And we'll start things off with you, Lisa. Is this just opportunism, or are they actually realizing that they can make more money, and so they're going to do it, or is it both?
Well, as you said, CD sales are way down. They're cutting the prices of CDs. People are being laid off at record companies. $230 million profit from clothing companies. I went to Macy's the other day. The entire junior floor just about is all hip-hop clothing for women and also for men.
Gigi, are the hip-hop stars, P. Diddy, whoever it is, are they actually designing the clothes, or are they just lending their name to a staff of people that roll this thing out?
I
I think they definitely have teams of designers doing it for them because it's entirely too much work for them to do it on their own. But I know that a lot of them are involved with it heavily. It's their style, too. It's their name.
You know, it's very interesting, Dylan. To me, this is such an exciting segment because I actually think there's a huge crossover between music, creativity, design, ingenuity, reinventing oneself. And I even understand that P. Diddy, then Sean Puffy Combs, he keeps changing his name, was in a trial and playing with his wireless BlackBerry and designing new clothes.
You're absolutely right. I hear J-Lo, I know the president of her clothing company, is hands-on, emailing, telephone calls, sending color swatches, how she wants.
And she's designing. I mean, she is actually there designing for this sweet-faced brand.
Which brings us to another question, Gigi, or whoever. Has the fashion designer, the traditional fashion designer, Tommy Hilfiger, Donna Karan, whoever it is, are they getting one-ups? Because you have bigger celebrities and are athletes coming? Are we going to see?
That's very interesting because they were the celebrities of the 90s, and now the musicians are the celebrities in the fashion world for the millennium. So things have definitely turned. Tommy Hilfiger's brother is president of J-Lo's clothing company. So in a way, he has the family has a hands-on in what's going on with her business.
Gigi, does this bode poorly for the traditional fashion designer?
I don't think so. I still think that it's a mix of everything. I mean, kids want everything now. They want to emulate their stars, but at the same time, they want to be wearing the streetwear that makes them comfortable.
Let's see.
Now, this is what's so interesting, and this is the brilliance why it's working. This is a Partridge Family Brady Bunch special meets the street, and $155. This is Fat Farm Russell Simmons.
You can't
feel it,
because the streets change like that.
Okay,
so that's hot today. It's not hot tomorrow. You got to make your.
This is what makes Russell Simmons and Fat Farm a $300 million a year business because he also has golf wear.
How much does it cost to make one of these things?
Retail.
How much does it cost to make one?
To make, I don't know, but
Gigi, do you have any idea what it costs?
$30.
I'm sure it's there's a significant markup, I'm sure.
Yeah, nothing's under $30, but you call it a golf shirt, but in the world of hip hop, that's just a shirt you throw on over your jeans and you go out to the club.
What's this called?
Well, I still call it a sweatsuit.
So how much am I going to pay for that?
$125.
How much
maybe for the top and for the bottom.
It's got to be better margins than music.
Some are even higher than that.
Money. I mean, Damon Dash is laughing all the way to the bank, and Jay-Z, they own Rockaware.
One important question. What happens if there's a scandal like Martha Stewart had a scandal, Rosie O'Donnell? What happens to these brands? What happens to these lines? Even though they have separate names?
And I agree with you. They buy the clothes and show support.
Yeah.
Okay, bingo. So it can only keep growing.
The McDonald's campaign is a perfect example. Hip-hop is mainstream now. I'm loving it. Is hip-hop. And something's going to change. I'm going to see some new fashions and a new street, edgier type of feel to hip-hop. It's got to change. It's become too mainstream.
$2 billion and counting.
You need to.
I know. I got to. We need the bullseye. The bullseye line. We're going to come back here in just a minute's time as we're wrapping things up for the week on Bullseye. We do want to first thank Gigi for her time, and then Lisa G. Pleasure to have you with us. Of course. We'll talk to you. We'll get you your own fashion line. On Bullseye, the Friday Roundtable, hip-hop styles may come back. Talk about those government contracts, investigation into Halliburton's pricing of gasoline, and today's consumer confidence weaker than expected. What does it mean going into the last big shopping week before the Christmas break? We're back on Bullseye right after this.
CNBC Asia. Profit from it.
And now, Contact Singapore brings you 3 hours in.
If you have 3 hours in Singapore, you might want to pay a visit to Chinatown. Tucked away in a row of old shop houses on Neil Road is a deceptively unassuming little Chinese tea house, Tea Chapter. The tea house retains the unique ambiance of a bygone era. Time slows down here.
There's a Chinese saying, drinking tea fortifies the body and refines the spirit.
As you sip the brew, you can learn about the techniques for bringing out the optimum flavors and aromas of the tea.
This tall cup captures the smell of the tea. This is what you use to take in the fragrance of the tea leaves. And this smaller, wider cup opens the flavors of the tea, and this is what you drink from.
Or you can simply sit back and relax and while away the hours with a good friend or a good book.
3 Hours In was brought to you by Contact Singapore.
N is for nanotechnology, the study of things less than 1/1000th the width of a human hair. These are nature's building blocks, and they can be used to build some amazing things, like a cell phone so small an ant could use it, or a tiny computer that can hold every book ever written, or maybe some things we haven't even thought of yet. N is for nanotechnology, and it's brought to you by HP, a leader in this science of almost limitless possibilities.
This week on Asia Market Week, we'll talk with Stephen Saywell, Senior Currency Strategist at Citigroup, about the Fed's decision to keep interest rates at 45-year lows for a considerable time. How long is that exactly? We'll also ask him about dollar direction. Can its rebound this week be sustained? Find out on Asia Market Week this week.
Bullseye contributor, and sticking around for the end of the show, Bob Chapman. Chapman Capital, chilling on a Friday night. I want us to talk about this Halliburton thing. We didn't get to it in the show. Headlines throughout the week, overcharging the U.S. government. Bush coming out to say that if in fact there was overcharging, he'll ask him to pay the money back.
Look, this is nothing new. We saw this in the 1980s, Clinton administration. Halliburton's been on a long time, okay? They were in the Balkans, and we're going to continue to see this happen, but it doesn't mean that Halliburton is a bad company or doesn't do a stellar job in terms of their projects and what they undertake.
Just the appearance of impropriety when the vice president used to run the company, even if there's nothing going on, is something you'd think they'd be more cautious about, I think.
Well, obviously, the candidates are jumping all over this. Dean and the rest of them are jumping on board. But the thing you got to remember is the Army is saying they're still looking at Halliburton for some big contracts going forward.
Bob, the consumer confidence number today, weaker than expected. Market kind of shook it off and looked at inflation as the way to go. 1 week left. How do you feel about the economy? 1 week left in terms of shopping.
Who knows? I mean, it goes up, it goes down. The economy's on fire. The third quarter GDP number was so huge. And there's no inflation out there. There's
but with consumer confidence down, what does it tell you?
It's one time. It's one data point. Just blow it off. Get over it. It's not a big deal. You just got to. There's so many data points out there that the economy's on fire. You just have to ignore sometimes these little blips out there. The consumer's strong, never went away. Interest rates are low. The job market's clearly coming back. I'm seeing it everywhere I go. People are getting more jobs, getting raises. Guys on Wall Street are getting overpaid again. Who knows what they're going to buy? They can probably
buy that. That's what they're going to do.
Well, they're going to get some fat form when I go back from my.
Are you getting overpaid, Bob? I bet you're getting overpaid. I'll be honest.
I could see John Matthews and Aaron Ipsa and Rob Tupper wearing some of this back at the office. So I think I'm going to pick some up.
What's the big story of the week? You're a bold guy.
Big story for the week next week. Wow, that's it's not really the way I think, but. Probably nothing. I think it's going to be boring. I have to tell you, we're back in this whole data point thing again with the market where everyone's focused on the next data point, GDP, inflation, whatever it's going to be.
Election. I think we're going to continue to see that become more and more important. It's going to tie back into the economy. It's going to tie back into scandals.
Bush has got it in the bag, Bush has got it in the bag. I mean, Dean's got momentum here, obviously, but it's all in the economy. Economy's going to be going full throttle by the time people are casting their ballots in November.
I think every data point matters, though, not just on the data points, but also the earnings that are coming out. We're going to hear from Oracle next week on some numbers coming out, and I think every single point matters right now.
Larry Ellison coming on the show on Monday. What do you want to know, Bob?
Well, I'll tell you, we've made a lot of money along PeopleSoft. It was a brilliant move on his part because you basically buy PeopleSoft, you get the licenses. These people are stuck in these contracts for a while. And Oracle's in trouble. I mean, I'd love to get on here with him and talk about his business. He'll probably come at me with a samurai sword or something like that.
Or bomb me with that F-14.
Okay, I have to make a disclosure. My husband works for Oracle.
So were you just
sorry about the stock options? I'm sorry about the stock options.
Started.
Okay, that's good.
Hillary, what do you say the election's a story, Becky? You're just looking for data?
Yeah, any data point.
if you look at the Halliburton thing, is this just is this political bubbling, or is there a real problem that's going to surface here?
A lot of this is really about just politics. I mean, a lot of this is being fed. I mean, this is really about K Street. This is really about a lot of lobbying and a lot of dirt getting out there. But I also have to say, on the positive side, and what is coming out, I have to hand it to the media, the press, the journalists who made sure to make sure that all that information was released.
This show's only a week old, but they're still letting me write my own newspaper headlines at the end of it. I'll share them with you right now. We call it Dylan's Daily. Here's a look at the way I see it anyway going into next week. A couple of things to look for on Monday. The hotels will be hopping. I love the travel story, although Chapman shakes his head. The big deal here, the morning after pill goes up before the FDA on Tuesday. That, I say, is the story of the week. Next week you'll hear.
Don't look at me on that one.
See a lot about that.
You're looking at me.
Look for it on Tuesday.
Better you than us.
Maybe this is wishful thinking, but the deadline for FAO Schwartz is Monday. I think somebody will save it. Maybe Donald Trump. You can nod because we have no more time. That's why I set it up that way. Thank you all for your time. That does it for Bullseye for the week. It is your money. The news with Brian Williams begins in 3 minutes.
Don't miss the definitive roundup of Asia's financial week. That's Asia Market Week, coming up next. CNBC Asia. Profit from it.
The foot bone's connected to the knee bone. The knee bone's connected to the hip bone. The hip bone's connected to the rib bone. A rib bone's connected to the chest bone. The chest bone's connected to the shoulder bone. Shoulder bone's connected to the head bone.
Only TNT connects the people who make your supply chain work.
It's easy to connect them bones.
东湖建成中医多为名医师及医护人员竭诚服务，采用全院电脑连线作业，提高医疗服务品质。东湖建成中医位于台北市内湖区东湖路108号。建成中医在。东湖建成中医服务专线02-2633-7511，2633-7511。
东森开播末等惊喜连连大方送，宽频标网加电话哈拉，天天最低只要25元，送您万元热门3C 优惠券，还可免费畅玩彩虹冒险 Online Game。现在申办哈拉 A 奖金，惊喜连连，省多赚更多。详情请洽0809-030-050。
All day, every trading day, from Europe to the US and across Asia.
Let's get straight to the market.
CNBC has all the latest business news and up-to-the-minute financial information.
Wall Street's a pretty positive start.
To keep you informed and connected to the global and regional economies and businesses. CNBC. Profit from it.
On the Asian stock market this morning.
The only show that keeps you up to date with the day's market movers across Asia.
Numbers should bode well.
The other big
Live market coverage and real-time data as the trading day heats up.
Scoop. Analysts like this one.
Breaking news.
Huge flight into bond markets.
Business opportunities that could make you money.
Strong cash flow, strong balance sheets. And that's the sort of thing you need to focus on.
Your money is their business.
What defensive actions do you recommend? Asset allocation, most important.
Make sure you're watching. Market Watch. Weekday.
各位投资朋友，大家好，我是亚洲投顾刘爱辉，欢迎收看股市解码。华尔街有一句名言：如果你使用95%的人都在使用的工具，